Dr. Khandaker Abdullah Jahangir, Rahimahullah, was a unique personality in presenting the subtle matters of Islamic Sharia to the general public in a simple and evidential language. His scholarship and ability to follow the middle path made him universally acceptable, especially in practicing religion free from innovations, bid'ah, and following the pure Sunnah. His guidance remains a beacon for us. Based on his various discussions and lectures, some important questions and answers are presented in detail below. 1. Is it permissible to walk in front of someone praying? Dr. Abdullah Jahangir clearly stated that when a worshipper stands for prayer, passing in front of them is a grave sin and strictly forbidden, haram. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that if a person knew the severity of the punishment for walking in front of a person praying, he would prefer to stand for 40 years, months, or days rather than pass in front of him. However, if there is a sutra, a barrier or object in front of the worshipper, one can walk beyond that barrier. 2. Is it permissible to form factions or parties in Islam? Allah the Almighty has explicitly forbidden sectarianism and factionalism in the Quran, commanding everyone to remain united. Dr. Jahangir used to say that Islam itself is a complete party. While groups or organizations may be formed for the sake of religious work or social service, the condition is that those outside the group must not be viewed as enemies. All Muslims are brothers. Maintaining this sense of brotherhood and working together for the propagation of faith is excellent, but creating division is haram. 3. Is collective supplication, munajat, after burial a sunnah? Standing by the grave of the deceased after burial and praying for their forgiveness, maghfirah, is a sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. However, rather than organized collective supplication using microphones or formal gatherings, it is more in accordance with the Sunnah and recommended, mustahab, for everyone to pray individually and sincerely in their own way. While there is evidence of raising hands for prayer at the graveside, turning it into an institutionalized ritual or a mandatory act falls under the category of bid'ah. 4. How much can a suitor see when looking at a prospective bride? Sharia allows certain concessions when viewing a woman for the purpose of marriage. The suitor himself can see the face and hands up to the wrists. Dr. Jahangir mentioned that private conversations or dates before marriage are not permissible. However, in the presence of a guardian, normal introductions or asking questions to know the religious status of the bride is allowed. Additionally, the groom's female relatives can observe the bride closely and describe her to him. 5. Shab-e-Barat, Shab-e-Miraj, and the tradition of Halwa-Ruti. There are some Sahih hadiths regarding the virtue of Shab-e-Barat, where Allah forgives everyone except polytheists and those harboring malice. However, there is no evidence in the Sunnah for performing prayers in a specific manner or specific rituals for this night. There is no harm if someone personally stays up at night for voluntary worship or fasts during the day, but distributing Halwa-Ruti, fireworks, or organized festivities was, according to Dr. Jahangir, a fabricated culture that destroys the spiritual atmosphere of worship. 6. Is it right to force the waving of mahr, dowry? Answer. In current society, there is a culture of forcing or emotionally manipulating the wife to wave the mahr after marriage or on the wedding night. Dr. Jahangir detested this. He said that paying mahr is an obligation upon the husband and is the right of the wife. If a husband intends not to pay the mahr, he will be considered a cheat on the Day of Judgment. Forcibly taking a waiver from the wife is not acceptable unless she releases it out of her own free will and full consciousness. 7. Use of rosewater or attar during burial. Answer. It is sunnah to use camphor or fragrance in the water while bathing the deceased. It is also permissible to apply attar or perfume to the shroud or the body. However, there is no Sunnah-based foundation for sprinkling rosewater on the grave after burial. This is merely a waste of resources and an unnecessary formality. 8. Is it permissible for men to listen to women's religious sermons? Answer. While a woman's voice may be heard behind a curtain for normal needs, sermons or speaking in a melodic tone that might attract men should be avoided. Dr. Jahangir warned that in the current age, many misleading groups are trying to corrupt faith with female speakers. It is essential to stay away from the discussions of those who provide distorted information about the life of the Prophet PBUH or Islam. 9. What will be the state of prayer if one cannot recite the Quran correctly? Answer. If someone accepts Islam as an adult or did not have the opportunity to learn before, they must try to learn quickly. Dr. Jahangir used to say that while continuing to try, the person should perform the prayer with whatever surahs or verses they know. Allah knows what is in the heart. However, neglecting to learn is a sin. Learning correct recitation is obligatory for every Muslim for the proper performance of Salah. Believing in omens or superstitions. In Islam, there is no room for considering any day, time, or number as unlucky. Thinking that Tuesday is inauspicious, being hindered by obstacles on a journey, or believing an owl's hoot brings bad luck are polytheistic or shirk thoughts. A Muslim should always rely on Allah and believe that whatever happens, happens by the will of Allah. Purchasing on credit or installments. It is permissible to buy goods from a shop on credit if the seller agrees. However, if buying on installments involves interest-based conditions, it becomes haram. There is no problem with normal credit transactions. Warning regarding false claimants of prophethood. In his discussions, Dr. Jahangir gave a stern warning against fake peers or self-proclaimed prophets. Those who equate themselves with Allah or consider themselves above the Sharia are a clear fitna or trial or mischief. It is the responsibility of every conscious Muslim to stay away from them and make the general public aware. These queries and answers from Dr. Khandaker Abdullah Jahangir, Rahimahullah, help us make our daily lives more beautiful and Sunnah-based. His main goal was to establish pure religion by removing superstitions and innovations from society. If we hold on to the Quran and Sunnah in the way he demonstrated, our life in this world and hereafter will be blessed. May Allah grant him an exalted station in Jannat al-Firdaus and enable us to benefit from his knowledge. Ameen.
Enjoyed this video? Subscribe now and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for more content. Jazakallah khair.